Being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. President Trump has also been very consistent. Crazy regimes like Iran, hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons.
So those comments were made back in March, but Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell decided to repost it following news that multiple US service members were killed as strikes between Iran and the US continue to escalate. Weird how war just kind of tends to do that. This also proves once again that at least for this administration, the whole bloodlust thing is just not going to get old anytime soon. 2 US service members were killed Friday while defending against an Iranian ballistic missile and drone attack in Jordan. And another service member is missing, US Central Command said Saturday. 4 other American service members were medically evacuated to hospitals in Jordan, but have since been discharged, CENTCOM said. Other personnel who were evaluated for minor injuries have returned to duty. Also, CENTCOM did announce that on Sunday, they found unidentified remains at the location of the strike. However, they have yet to confirm that those remains actually belong to the missing soldier. And that's not all. Separately, a US service member in northern Iraq was killed in action July 18th during a controlled detonation of unexploded ordnance from a downed Iranian one-way attack drone. A second service member was wounded and continues to receive medical treatment for a minor injury. The service member killed during the disposal of an Iranian drone in Iraq on Saturday was not a bomb technician, but another soldier who was hit by debris or fragments when the drone was detonated, according to a US official who spoke on condition of anonymity. So if you are keeping track, that means there have been at least 18 deaths of US service members since the war with Iran began on February 28th. It's also important to note that that number is very likely way too low, because according to the New York Times, even before Friday's strike in Jordan, Iran launched 3 other attacks that week, injuring dozens of troops and damaging US helicopters. So of course, the US government responded the only way the US government knows how to respond, which is just more strikes. CENTCOM said US forces struck Iranian military surveillance and air defense facilities, maritime assets, and missile and drone storage sites. The International Atomic Energy Agency said on Sunday that it was investigating reports of an overnight attack on the construction site of Iran's planned Darkovan nuclear power plant. But the strikes actually go well beyond what they were actually intended to target, with Iranian civilians noting that roads and other civilian infrastructure are getting absolutely destroyed. At a time when temperatures are running over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, residents are dealing with daily power cuts and water outages every other day, Reza, a 50-year-old retiree in Bushehr province, said. Much of the world is so immersed in their own lives, he said, that the destruction happening in Iran no longer seems important to them. It also doesn't seem like anything is going to be slowing down anytime soon. If anything, things are very likely to escalate.
Do you know your brain rot index? No, of course you don't. I didn't either because I didn't know what it was, but turns out you might want to, especially after hearing this. Did you know that the average American checks their phone over 200 times a day? That's about 5 hours of screen time a day on just your phone. Unfortunately, that means your brain is rotting. A little bit, but have no fear. I switched over to Noble Mobile, downloaded their Noble Mobile Life app, and was able to track my own brain rot index. It's 0. No, I'm just kidding. My number was not great, but now that I'm on Noble Mobile, getting way better. It tracks how much you use your phone, how often you pick it up, and even shows you how to save money on your phone bill by using it less. New members can even earn up to $100 cash back for keeping their brain rot index under 100, which means you are very unrotten. Okay, so you unlock all that when you join. So download the Noble Mobile Life app today, track your own brain rot index, and learn how you can save money and spend more time doing things that actually bring you joy instead of doom scrolling on social media. Check it out by heading to tyt.com/switch or by downloading the Noble Mobile app. By the way, don't tell Andrew, but if you're on Wi-Fi, you also don't use your data, so you're gonna get money back anyway. tyt.com/switch.
In a Truth Social post this morning, Trump issued a very serious warning to Iran. He wrote, "Every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over. This directive has been passed on to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Daniel Kaine, and every leader in the military, President Donald J. Trump. Now, according to the New York Times, the US is also preparing to send even more warplanes as part of further escalation. Air Force F-16 fighter jets from Germany and stealthy F-35 jets from Britain were being sent to the Middle East, according to officials who were not authorized to publicly discuss operational matters. Additional aerial refueling aircraft were also on the way. Which does kind of bring up a question, like, why would we need to send even more fighter jets if we actually obliterated the Iranian military? Interesting, and it does seem that not only we're not the only ones asking that question, because even Maria Bartiromo seems to be a little bit confused.
You know, CENTCOM says that there will be outsized action in retaliation, but I don't understand how it's possible that Iran has the capabilities to fight this way and continue to try to lash out at Gulf countries and US military bases, because the US has obliterated Iran's military and the president continues to reiterate that.
Yes, and if you look at the numbers of missiles that they've been able to fire off from the beginning of this war, late February, early March, and what they're able to do now, it is very seriously degraded. They've gone from over 100 a day to less than 10, if even that. There's been a number of days where they haven't fired off anything, and they haven't targeted Israel for months now. So I think their capabilities are lessened, but they're not zero, and that's the important thing. They are a nuisance. They're going after their regional neighbors. And that, in a way, though, can also, in the long term, be a benefit for us, Maria, because this unites the entire region behind the United States and with Israel. That would have been impossible 10 years ago. Now it's actually happening in real time.
Yeah, so it might be degraded, but Iran's military is still going strong. And back in May, the New York Times reported that according to classified assessments, Iran has regained access to most of its missile sites, launchers, and underground facilities. Most alarming to some senior officials is evidence that Iran has restored operational access to 30 of the 33 missile sites it maintains along the Strait of Hormuz. Military intelligence agencies have also reported, based on information from multiple collection streams, including satellite imagery and other surveillance technologies, that Iran has regained access to roughly 90% of its underground missile storage and launch facilities nationwide, which are now assessed to be, quote, partially or fully operational, the people with knowledge of the assessment said. So they also have another benefit, which is billions of dollars that they raked in as a result of the June peace deal, which allowed Iran to ship oil out of the country. As part of the June deal, the United States gave Iran two major concessions. It lifted its naval blockade, allowing Iranian ships to move oil out of the country, and granted an exemption to US sanctions on Iranian oil sales. When the United States lifted the blockade, Iran rushed some 45 million to 50 million barrels out of the country, analysts estimated. The Trump administration revoked that sanctions waiver on July 7th after 3 tankers were attacked in the Strait of Hormuz. But Iran had already moved quickly to get its ships through the strait and headed toward Asia, which has long had a network of buyers for its illicit oil sales. So meanwhile, our own military is suffering, sadly. An anonymous official who spoke with the Washington Post cautioned that the expansion of US operations will be limited by dwindling stockpiles of air defense and long-range munitions and constraints on the ability to surge more troops and aircraft into the area because of battle damage. Military experts have said that in addition to the toll taken on US equipment and munition stocks, the US is unprepared for possible ground operations inside Iran, which also happens to be something that Trump is currently refusing to rule out. We do not have enough to safely sustain operations, and I don't think the White House is aware of that. So Sharon, I mean, you tell me what you think. This just sounds to me like something that was warned about from the very beginning of this, when a bunch of people, especially on the left, said that all wars tend to beget more wars. And this is just another example of that. And it seems we're losing service members in the process. So what is your take on all this?
Well, we are, and we're dealing with liars and unskilled warmongers. They wouldn't know how to win if this was winnable, and it doesn't appear that it is, because they have failed to measure the resolve of the Iranians. They just don't get it. There's no nuance, there's no skill, there's no diplomacy. Every time he opens his mouth, Donald Trump lies to us, issues threats that don't seem to do anything. He said this thing about you better not kill American servicemen and women before, and now more are dead. And Maria Bartiromo is asking very dippy questions as if she doesn't understand what's going on. And if she doesn't, that's an even larger issue than the one she appears to have. We're being lied to. It's not obliterated. The Strait is shut down whenever they say it's shut down. Men and women are dying. You could send in more ground troops, I should say, but it's not really going to matter when the other side knows we got you, baby. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, I would add to that as well. There is just the idea of imperial blowback, and when you have a policy that says basically you can ship out as much oil as you want, make as much money as you want, our own policy seems to have actually strengthened them. Because as I understand, the memorandum of understanding was basically us just going, yeah, you guys win essentially. And in terms of us being lied to, I think Iran feels that they're also being lied to, and I don't know from a negotiating standpoint exactly how you come back from that.
Yeah, and he's also gone back and forth and talked about how he has this regime change. Yeah, maybe you do. And now it's worse, right? Now it's worse. You also killed all those little girls and never really apologized for it. So anybody who over there said, well, I hate this regime and I'd love to, it says we hate you more. There's no upside here. There's no skill. The Pentagon, they're lying to us. You have Pete Hegseth who wants to pump service men and women with, well, some people with more testosterone, and none of it matters. None of it matters to the bottom line. We are worse off today and less safe because of these fools.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.